Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Great to be able to see you guys again. Yes, I know I'm kind of surprising you where as it's vacation time and I'm in and out. However, I got two back to back for you while I'm still here. Anyway, please hit the likes and subscribe down below in your right hand corner. We're going to discuss some of the past couple weeks signings. Actually, it's more like a week and a half. So please hit the like, subscribe. We're trying to build a strong community. I'd muchly appreciate it. Thank you to all my supporters. And exactly what this states it is. These are about the signings, just what our views, our takes are on them, how it looks for the Canadians inside wise. Okay, first we're going to discuss the signing of J.F. Uhl in Laval as head coach. He got signed on for 3 more years with his coaching staff, other than Kelly Buchberger, who went back to the West Coast. That's going to be a big loss. Buchberger, I was kind of surprised in this coaching signing. However, and I mean, I'm kind of on the fence as far as my views of this. Uh, I was kind of leaning towards they were going to go a different direction and get their own guy, since this was the previous regime's man. However, you do have to look at their points as they did well as far as when it came to development wise, when it came to like when you looked at getting Yoel Armia back on his game, Waugh being ready when he got to Montreal, getting Arbor Jackeye back on his game, getting Barron moving in the right direction again, which he's had a couple shots that way, 2 or 3, and Mayu's progress. So when we look at all of those things, you can kind of see um, there seems to be some validity to the job he's doing with, or that crew is doing with the youngsters. However, I think they are going to have to focus even that much more in with. You don't want them to get, because that was always my question. Sometimes it seemed like they were down in Laval focusing on the more senior players that were really not going to be players that were going anywhere. And Jared Davison, as you know, re-signed, and that's good to see. To me, I think he's kind of a long-term, basically AHLer, but good. He'll be good for experience. I think, kind of a leader type player. So I think that's a good sign. I don't foresee him. He might be able to pan in and jump in Montreal occasionally on the lower end. Fourth line type of thing. I don't see him as a potential lifer in the AHL. I think he's more of an AHL career player. With that being said, there was also a couple more signings, as I mentioned it yesterday in yesterday's video about Hughes. And I didn't get the whole story on him. He's from Ontario, played 6 years plus around there in the Swiss League, and came up with quite phenomenal numbers for what he has played there, like between a 934 and a 919 and a 934. I heard at a 940 averages. Those are the numbers that I've been hearing in his past. Those are pretty good numbers. So I see why they picked him up. It looked like no one had their bearing on um, that coming to pass. So that was kind of a nice move by Kent Hughes. So I think they jumped in on a guy that I think he's going to be a good, solid AHL level goaltender. I do not foresee him as anything that's AHL material. Could he sit in if one of the guys in the NHL got hurt and do the odd game? That's to be seen. I think he might be a good support for Dobish. I just still Kajik Stowe or whatever his name is, which was the other goalie. It looks like they're parting ways, and I kind of not so sure how happy I am about him going. It would have been nice to see a 3 goaltender rotation there, because he did quite a good job of helping settle down Dobish. Where Dobish had everything on his shoulders when Strauss-Mann was there. So I would hope that they would get him back as well and go with a 3-prong rotation. That's what I was hoping. So I'm a little concerned when I'm not so sure of how this guy's going to proceed as compared to Kovic. I can't even pronounce the guy's name. You know who I'm talking about. Laval's veteran backup goaltender that was there came in towards the second half, and he was well liked by the fans there because he did a fine job of backing up Dobish when Dobish needed a break. So that was another signing. Looks like a positive one for Hughes. My concern is, again, I would rather see the three. It be the three of them. I would not want them to wash their hands of Kobish, or whatever you want to call him. Um, I would rather see him re-signed as well, and then go with the two. That would probably alleviate any slide that they had, like they did in the beginning of last season. So it's an interesting signing. It's definitely AHL material. I think this guy could be like the veteran down in the AHL who could be there many years. Let's look at it that way. Okay, so then we also had one more signing that was interesting. He's a forward, pretty small on the small side, and it looks like he's a local boy in Montreal. So it was Israel Main Scrum. No major signing. I think he's more or less an AHL level. We'll see what his talent is. Kind of on the small side. I believe I heard 5'8". That's not very big, but we'll see how that goes. Hard to say. So we can't judge it, but that's the signing. So that's the signings as far as we know. As of now, we know the list of players that need to be signed, and I sure hope they get on with the Jack Eye being the first signing that absolutely needs to be done. And then we go into that. So it's very interesting. And also we can talk about the. It looks like since Marty was signed a while back there, it's looking. Rumorville has it that the coaching staff in Montreal will stay put behind him. I'm not too happy about that. That's just me. I know people will defend Alex Burrows. Some people will. I believe he's had plenty of time. I know he has no talent to work with. The guys that's been the case. Montreal's talent level for the power play, that just doesn't resolve right with me anymore. A certain amount of years, you got to be able to up your numbers, and it just does not seem to be progressive. We're one of the worst teams in the power play, lower bottom scale. To me, you got to move on. Whether it would have been send him back to Laval to get more time, I don't know. However, I thought between him and even Robitaille, I would have liked to have seen changes in both areas. I just seemed to be the defense was playing far too often man to man, and I think they had confusion whenever they tried to play systematically. Just I know that yes, the young defense did well under their circumstances, but responsibility wise, they weren't catching on. There just seemed to be problems in covering their zones. That seems to be and I think that needed to be upgraded. Penalty kill could have used. It was all right. Could have used an improvement though. I just found that it's the defensive game, and I'm not talking about just defensemen. Well, although that was a big part of it, that their rope has to be pulled in on them now. It's now they have to want to make the numbers better. So they can't just go like Matheson. I think he produced so well because it was do what you want to do. So he had a wide open leash. Now I think you got to pull back on the leash and now expect. And we were paying the price on the other end of it defensively. He was getting burned a lot. So were a few others, and it's not enough. Even Gooley was. So I think that leash there has to be a change in the mindset. We do have to now start looking for accountability. However, we're going to have to make this draft really is hugely important. This off season is important. Now the next free agent period is even more important in when we're looking to off seasons. The next draft isn't so much, depending on this draft. For anybody to think that we're the rebuild is over. Come on now, really? Have you looked at that club? We have done not nowhere near what we need to do with that forward group. It's yes, our defense. We know where it's going, right direction, trajectory wise, but our forward group needs a lot of work. This rebuild is not, it's not, and it may come to a point where once we're through the draft and once we're through the off season, then we might be at a position where we can, because we can grade what we've done overall, and we're definitely then just over the halfway point of the rebuild. So we'll have a better view for sure. But are we done? By no stretch of the imagination. And we got to remember, the first year was successful in getting Slav. And Lane Hudson seems to be a big bonus. I have my concern. I think there's a lot of talent in Owen Beck and a lot of talent in Meshar. I'm concerned with their size because we have so many small players, and they might have. I do not see Owen Beck as more than a third liner. I think Waugh has a little more is the third liner as well, but I think Waugh has the chances of being a second liner, pending because he seems to his ceiling seems to be to me a little higher, whereas I see Beck more as a third line player. They're great numbers in the circle, don't get me wrong, and Meshar's got great creativity and very offensive minded, but if we bring in two actually bona fide top six wingers, I don't think there's room, and especially where these guys are on the smaller side. Now there's talent there. Machar has tons of offensive talent there and creativity. Beck has proven, he became the MVP. I just think there's something. I don't see him as a top six. I'm not with the direction we are headed. You just use for an example, if we've got Doc for the second line, and by some chance we were to get Necas, and God knows who the other one, and we got fortunate enough to draft Lidstrom. Well, I don't think Lidstrom will be here for about 2 years, but you might want to still get another forward that can fill that void. You got the option that Newhook can jump up there. I honestly think once Waugh has more time under his belt, I think he would be a better fit than Newhook. I just don't think he has the experience to do it yet. So that's what will keep him to the third line. Once he gains the momentum, I think he would be a better fit to fill the void while we're waiting than Newhook. I just think Newhook is, to me, I know he's got the speed and he will probably be a fill-in on the second line. I don't think he's a natural second liner. Sorry to say it. He's a great third liner. But second liner, no way, Jose. It's not the case. If we're realistic and we want to be a Stanley Cup winning team or playoff team, we got to face realities. He is a third liner. I don't care what this is my view. You can leave your comments because I'm always liking to hear your thoughts, and always leave a comment because that's what we're here for. We all have opinions. It doesn't matter what expert is out there. There's nobody's opinion that's above each other. Sometimes I could get it right. Sometimes insider could get it right. Sometimes you can get it right. We're all playing guessing games unless you're even Montreal Brass. When they're making a move, they got to do their homework. But it's one thing to have things on paper looking good, but it's also got to gel, and then it's what's on the ice has to come together and gel. So there's a lot that goes into it. So for me, I honestly think was a question mark for me. I think he has the capability of being a second liner. It's just going to depend on whether we get two, which I think we should, to be honest. I honestly think we should go for two top six wingers. I think our chance right now, we can't give up on it because it's the only guy. I hear the nonsense of the trade talk and a new one added today, and we got three teams that we're hearing rumor that we're talking to, and of course Carolina and Necas by far, hands down, is the best fit for us out of the free agencies. Even though he's restricted, he is in a trade. He is the only guy there that fits our top six, perfect to a T. And that would be a great pickup. Now, What we do for a second one, that's hard to say what you're going to do there. I guess you just got to see what else can be done. But you're going to be giving up something to get Necas. And I think as long as we're careful with our key pieces, I think, there's just the odd guy. Like I say, if we keep that first line protected, Doc, I have concerns for Doc. I love the guy. If he gets injured this year, we're going to have to find a replacement. There's no doubt, because then he will be injury prone. I hope that's not the case, but we do have reason to be concerned, right? So for now, he's there, and he's a great second line option for the time being to get that line moving. But we need somebody with him. And whether it's one or two, it'd be nice to have one, at least Necas, and then you play with the left side a bit, and you leave that open for the replacement the following off season in 2025. Although there may come up somebody that you could make a deal with that could also fill the void for the time being. Like, I'm thinking Trelane type level. If it were possible, or maybe you can make a deal, because really we got to start thinking realistically. I think it's very clear out. We got to stay clear. Like, I'm sorry to say this, I have to agree with couple of people making comments on their podcast, and I totally agree. Zegras is not a fit for Montreal. He's a very talented player. I think he would be overpriced, and whether he is or not, he doesn't fit Montreal. Marner doesn't fit Montreal. I don't want the losing attitude and the not come through attitude. I just want to stay clear of that mess that's in Toronto for the Fantastic Four. So that, to me, I'd like to stay. The only guy I'd be interested in Toronto is Matthew Nyes, and he's not. They're not letting him go. That's their future. So with that being said, then you got now New Jersey's names coming up. And New Jersey, they're saying they'd be willing to trade their 10th overall pick. Now that's interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but it's what do you have to give up for it? I would be more inclined, like I say, I was saying in my previous taping, I'd be more inclined if I had to make a trade. If I had to get rid of Matheson, which I don't want to yet, but if that's what's going to get us Marty Necas, then I take it. Whatever in those realistic points of it, and especially where he's asking out now. So Zegras, but we don't want Zegras because he doesn't fit us. But at that, I can handle living with, if we had to make the move for a Matheson involved to get Necas here, I could do it, because we have Lane Hudson who will take over that role, and you can always get a veteran that can fill, maybe a third line pairing or something of that nature, if you need to go that route, right? Just to have some experience there. And he could play as the rotating person. I don't know, like a seventh defenseman. But for me, there's too many defensemen coming up that, while the iron's hot, and I know I like Matheson's offensive side, I don't like his power play usage whatsoever. I don't think he's the right choice. I think he's all we got. Although I don't think they use, like, Jack Eye's big shot well enough either. And who knows what it's going to turn out to be with Mailloux, and how long for Lane. Those two guys seem to have that offensive side that could be the future of the blue line in power plays. So with that being said, the iron's hot, and this is the best numbers that Mike Matheson's ever going to come out with. I mean, no one expected this. I'd like to see him stay here for 2 years, but if that's what Carolina is willing to do, that's who they want, and they'll give us Necas. We probably have to add something to it. I'm all over doing it. You got to pay a price, because we have our future guys that are going to take that offensive side role. And I think they're going to actually fare better in power plays. I think they're going to be better power play specialists. Matheson was just his skating is so beautiful, and he was just a great 5-on-5, and those bursts of speed just carrying the puck out. His puck carrying skills were beyond, and that was great to watch. 5-on-5, he made things happen. So that was a great thing. I was not keen on his. I don't think he should have been penalty killing. I don't think he was the right choice. I don't think David Savard, even at that, poor guy, used to be that type of guy, but I think his days are over too. His speed is starting to show that he's been playing too far up the ladder in Montreal, like first, second line, and he shouldn't be in that role. He should be a third pairing, period. That's it. But I think he's done, and you can see his skating's just not there. I think he could help another club that wants to get a crack at the cup. So I think you would need to bring a veteran in. You wouldn't need the stats of Matheson because you got that in a couple young guys coming. You would have more speed than Savard. So you just get a mentor type, if that be the case. Because but I do think Savard will be traded by the deadline. I got a feeling they're going to hold on to him unless something comes up. But I see him as a deadline trade. Matheson, don't see them wanting to trade him unless it's a situation where that's what teams are saying. It's him. If you want a Necas, then you got to do it, because you got to remember, I don't know with the numbers. Matheson had a phenomenal year for offensive numbers, just incredible. Will he ever get that again? I don't believe so, and I think on that aspect of things, you kind of almost got to strike and he's not going to be in the time frame at his age for when the Habs are able to do something. Sorry to say that, but that's the facts. He will be getting too old, so he won't be a part of that future plan down the road. Just like Savard, not a chance. So we got to start thinking of that way, and it's going to be imperative we make the right move um, if we want to move forward and be a plus in the rebuild. And we got to get this draft right, because as I was saying last night, I hear some stupid moves like Canton. It's not an option. He's not an option for Montreal. Iginla is not even an option unless it's your second pick for Montreal. I could live with it. Although I would prefer, like I say, for me, it's absolutely, we have to find a way to get Lidstrom or Demidov. And Lidstrom's I would prefer, but Demidov I would not. I'd be quite happy as well. And then, like I told you, a sneak in there would be Seneke because of his size and soft hands. Canton's far too small for our lineup. Again, people say he's got grit. I don't see enough of it. Yes, he'll go to the front of the net, but gritty. I think there's just some, and of course, that changes as you get more touches and you're developed. But I just don't think. I think we got to stick to that, because we need size bad and we need talent bad, like heavy talent and size. We really need to beef up our team. So that's why it's so critical. And that's why I say, if you can't get Demidov and Lidstrom, I would rather trade the 5th rounder away to one of those 2 bottom feeders for next year. And I'm sure they'd be happy to do that. I'm sure you could figure something out. But anyway, let's get back to New Jersey, that 10th round pick. I wouldn't be as inclined to trade Matheson for that 10th round pick. I don't think it's a high enough pick. I know it's a good spot. Just think I'd rather a little higher if I got to give up Matheson. Because, you'd rather give it up for something that's proven and that we need right now, and is still young. So it's one of those scenarios. You want somebody skilled. If you're going to have to give up Matheson, you want it to be worthwhile. And to me, the 10th pick is not high enough. So I don't think the Jersey trade is perfect if Matheson's name is in there. So for me, that just doesn't work. So to me, the only trade that works is Necas. And now your bottom 6, there's things you can do to beef it up. I'm sure there are players in there that'll help if you want to upgrade, because we really should try to upgrade 1 or 2 guys down there. If you brought them in, wouldn't be a bad move either, because you got guys going up like Pearson and stuff to replace them, and that White kid. So guys like that. So I think that's it. And that I just wanted to give you the signings, what I thought of them. And like I said, I'm not happy about Montreal's coaching's decision with the assistants, but for now, as long as they change that down the road, that there's accountability, and then upgrade it. But I do think they absolutely, for that coaching side of things, they need to bring a veteran in. And I don't know, Larry Robinson, Carp are the type of guys I would be thinking of in that vicinity, and they would both be a help to the team. So let's see. And I'm glad that Paul Byron rejected he was offered the position as an assistant coach, and I think he made the right choice. I don't think, I think you're better off hiring a defenseman, an ex defenseman or what coach, whatever, or that's in the defense, coaching defense. I think you're better off, and I think Bob Byron made the correct decision. Yeah, he can work on penalty kills and power plays, but I don't think one of those forward type guys would be perfect for coaching the defense. So good on Paul Byron. I think he's better for the development job. It would have been different if it was the offensive side of things. I think he might have thought differently. But I think they got to they got to make sure they do. And I don't think they should wait on that in Laval. I think they should get the right guy for that defense. And try to even upgrade. Buck Berger did a wonderful job. He was one of the positives. He was the only guy down there I was more in support of. He was doing a good job with defense. So it's going to be hard shoes to fill, but I think it'd be nice if they upgraded there. But I think, for me, if you're not going to change any of the coaching staff behind St. Louis in Montreal, at least bring a veteran in for him. That's my theory. And I think who better than Larry Robinson is my first name, and then Guy Carbonneau right behind him. So with that being said, I just wanted to address that because so much talk is happening. We just, like I say, hear Jersey's name being thrown into it by the insiders. So I think anyway, there's only one trade in the free agency that's worthwhile for us, and we got to make it happen. We've got to find a way to outbid Boston and Vancouver to get Necas in Montreal because he is the perfect fit. So where's Puck Drop first? Here at Center Heist. You've seen it. Thank you for following. Please subscribe, tell others about it, and leave your comments. I want to know what your thoughts are on all these things. Like I say, for me, you know where I stand on the draft. You know where I stand on the trade. Necas is the only guy we should be looking at for top 6. For the draft, it's hands down Lidstrom and Demidov and my next guy, which I still would rather, just those are my main 2. Seneke for a later draft, maybe you trade upwards for your second pick and get Seneke with that second pick would be cool. I like Seneke next after those 2. So thank you for joining me, and we will catch you in the next episode. Because I have a feeling there's going to be a big splash, and I got a feeling Ken Hughes is going to make another draft day trade. I feel it in my bones. But I do hope that we get Necas. God bless.